Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Becca and today we are taking a look back in time at one of my, or actually two of my old unboxing videos so that I can update you on how those plants are doing today. Now when I was looking through my old unboxing videos, I tried to find ones where I was really excited about the plants, and these two videos happen to be pretty short, so I'm going to combine them because they both contained really big wishlist plants that I'm very thankful are still alive today. So we're going to start off with my video that was titled, I think, Rare Plant Haul. Wishlist plant haul, rare plant haul. Okay, so this was posted a year ago. Let's see what the actual date was. Can we see the actual date? August 22nd, 2019. Why is it saying it was a year ago? That is more than a year ago. Okay, anyway. So that's when I originally posted this video. I had purchased the plants maybe like a couple weeks or within a week or so of posting this video. So yeah, let's get started. First plant that I showed, let's check it out. Okay, I'm going to start with this plant. Oh my gosh, it looks so beautiful on camera. Okay, so this is a Calathea orbifolia, and it has been on my wish list literally since I started owning plants, and it came from Tennessee Tropicals, which is an online tropical plant store. It sat in my mailbox for an extra day and it still looks this perfect. Okay, so clearly I was very excited about getting a Calathea orbifolia. It is still to this day one of my favorite plants and definitely something that I would consider getting another one of, even though it looks a little bit rough. If I'm honest, it does look pretty rough, but here's the worst leaf. We have recently lost a couple leaves, but the ones that are still here are hanging on relatively okay. And honestly, there's lots of browning on the tips. And let me tell you, oh, but hold on. First, we do have a new leaf coming in, which is amazing, and I'm so excited. We haven't had a new leaf on this plant in a very long time. But yeah, it doesn't look amazing like it did when it was younger, but I think a big part of that is that I water it with tap water, and I moved across the country, so it got a little bit of a shock from that. But I think that with the summer comes lots of humidity, so I'm expecting it to have a really big comeback. I did actually put it in my IKEA greenhouse cabinet, and that really helped foster a situation to where this new leaf could really thrive, because in the past it has put out spikes, like it wanted to put out a new leaf, and then really like nothing happened after that. Like it just like died off and never came out. And I think that was because it was not very humid in the place where it was hanging out. So I'm really proud of myself. This was my first Calathea type of plant. And actually I should say it's not a Calathea anymore as of probably a while, but for some reason this news did not reach me until, I don't know, maybe a couple months ago. So I do still call it a Calathea sometimes just because that's a little bit more familiar, but it was reclassified to be in the Gyppersea family. So yeah, a lot of the quote unquote Calathea that I have are actually Gyppersea. Like this one right here, you can kind of see this Zebrina. So I think that, I don't know, if you didn't know that, there's no harm in not knowing. I don't think it really changes much. It's just one of those things that happens in the plant community. Sometimes plants get reassigned, and some people can be a little like snippy with you if you don't get it right and you say that it's still, you know, I don't know, if you say it's a Calathea when it's been reclassified, or if you call a snake plant a Sansevieria when it's been reclassified. Some people can get really weird about that, but I know what you're saying and you know what I'm saying, so you know what I mean. It is important to have factual and like good, accurate information out there, but we are all human, you know what I mean? So anyway, a couple weeks ago, or maybe like a month or so ago, I wanted to trim the brown tips off of this because I have heard of other people doing it, and it didn't like affect the plant negatively, but it actually made the browning worse. Like the browning was not that bad, and then I trimmed around the edges of all of the leaves, and now you can see. Because like I didn't trim up here, and it looks a little damaged up there, but like honestly not too bad, but this just looks terrible. So anyway, with that said, it's now living in my greenhouse cabinet, so it's getting like the optimal environment. And yeah, that's really all I have to say about it. I'm still really happy with it. It doesn't look as good as it could, but that's just the reality, you know what I mean? So the other plant I have in that haul,
let's roll the tapes.
Okay, for the next plant, I'm going to show you, I actually bought 2 of them because I was so shocked. I have 2 Rapidorphora tetraspermas. I should learn how to say that now that I have big ones. But yes, these are tetraspermas. They are grown from tissue culture, so the leaves are just a little bit different than a traditional tetrasperma. The person who I bought it from, his name is Scott, and he has a stand at the North Carolina State Farmers Market in Raleigh, and it was amazing just to talk with him.
Okay, so this plant, the Rapidorphora tetrasperma, is doing really well. I actually decided to propagate off of it, so I just completely started chopping it up, and sorry, I haven't groomed it in a while. But yeah, I just completely chopped it up and made a bunch of cuttings. This plant has actually been a present to many people. I've given a lot of cuttings of this away. Before, it was a little bit easier to find. Now they're really easy to find, even if it's not the tissue culture. So mine was obviously tissue culture, and at that time you could really tell the leaves were super tissue culture. But now they're a little bit more classic tetrasperma. This one specifically, I think this one actually has a midrib hole. Yeah, it does. So yeah, they definitely matured in their design, the leaf shape and everything else, but I did leave part of it on the original plant. So you can see it's really big. It got really big really fast. So here's another piece that is still on the original plant that I actually think I am going to cut, because this long trellis, like this big trellis, is like obviously not very sturdy, and it's pretty annoying, honestly. I really have been wanting to figure something else out for this plant for a long time, but I wanted to see how it would go rooting it, because I've never propagated it myself. I've sent people cuttings that were unrooted and they rooted them and it was fine, but I had never rooted it myself, so I wasn't really sure how it would go. So I, cut off a good portion of it, but I wanted to leave a little bit just in case things went wrong. But as you can see, the stem down here is pretty bare, so it kind of almost makes sense to chop it right here and then start it in water again so that the plant can be full at the bottom once again. But I did notice, look at how cute. We have like a little growth at the bottom here. It's growing off of the stem that I cut, I believe. Well, I'm gonna be the only thing. Yeah, it is growing just off of the stem that I cut, which is pretty funny. Actually, one of the reasons that I had to cut it was because my puppy Cooper was chewing on it, and I noticed that he likes to chew on or try to pee on plants that are on the ground. So yeah, that's a fun thing. Leo didn't do that at all, but Cooper is a little bit more mischievous and curious in that way. But that's the only plant that he did it to, and the stem was pretty damaged, so I was like, well, I'm kind of being forced into this, but I might as well just try and root it. And as you can see, it rooted really well. It was pretty slow to root, I'll be honest, but once it started, it just went nuts, and it kind of just like looks like pothos roots. So this is like way ready to be repotted. So I'm probably gonna do that pretty soon, and just pot it back in this exact plant once again, this planter again, because I like that planter. But yeah, that's the Rapidorphora tetrasperma. Let's move on. That would be all for that video. Let me just like double check, but I think that was a really short video, 4 minutes. I used to put out really short videos, which is so funny, but I definitely don't do that anymore. My videos average like 15-20 minutes now. Okay, oops, I just kind of gave away the next plant. But I want to show you next when I unboxed my Monstera Constellation, because that was truly one of the most exciting unboxings I ever had. It's actually a super funny story how I got the plant. So I'm going to roll the clip of me unboxing it, and then I'll show you what it looks like today.
Okay, wow. So I bought myself a beautiful Constellation. Oh my gosh, look at this. Basically what happened is this girl that I'm in a plant group chat with was on a waiting list for these plants. And once it came time for it to be her turn, she didn't, or like she wasn't ready. She basically like offered her spot to everybody in the plant group, and everyone was like, oh, that's pretty expensive. And I was just like, yeah, I'll take your spot. I ordered it and I got it within a few days,
Okay, here she is. Oh my goodness. So beautiful. Let me just like stick my head through here. I love this plant. This is truly one of the best deals that I've ever gotten on a plant. It was incredible. I don't think that there are any original leaves, like from the point that I got it, left on the plant. Most of those have left us. But yeah, it's also on this like tiny moss pole that I still need to replace. I think that I'm gonna put it on a board rather than a moss pole, or even like a trellis, but not a trellis that I make, like a trellis that I buy, because I think Monstera needs something really strong, and a moss pole I just don't think is the best thing for Monstera. So basically she needs a makeover. And I don't think that it needs to be, oh, I actually do see some roots right here. It probably needs to be repotted this summer, if I'm honest. So I'll probably get to that, and when I do that, I will switch out the moss pole. But this leaf right here is the most beautiful leaf, honestly, I've ever seen. It's so beautiful. I love that it has this really cute single fenestration. This actually came out during the move. So while I was in the middle of moving, it started putting out that gorgeous leaf, and I was like, oh shoot, it's gonna break, something's gonna happen to it. But actually it did get a little bit of damage. You can see along the side here, but the side that was still wrapped up inside of the leaf was this side. So I think it was a bit of a win, because the actually like really cool part of the leaf stayed safe inside of the leaf roll. And actually she's pregnant right now. I can feel that she's about to pop out this new leaf here. So it's just getting a bit thick along the stem where the new leaf should pop out. And yeah, I think that it's gonna be ready to put that out probably in the next, like I would say in the next week, I should probably see that. But as you can see, there is one leaf that is like pretty big, and it actually put that leaf out after it interacted with the moss pole right here. You can see that the root just like went right through it. It was my first time ever seeing a root interact with the moss pole before, and honestly, it was my first and only time I've ever seen that happen, because especially with sphagnum moss poles, you have to keep them super wet all the time, and it's just not realistic for most people to be able to do that. Now, I have seen some people do like self-watering moss poles, which would be a solution. That would be the only way that I would continue doing moss poles, I think, because when they're dry, it's pretty much useless, you know, or like a cocoa coir pole. In my opinion, they're pretty useless. This big Monstera is on a cocoa coir pole, and it's literally just being used as a support. There's no root interaction, and that's the whole point of these. You want the roots to interact with the pole so that it can dig in, and then from there, like have a springboard to put out big leaves such as this one. Like this leaf is uncharacteristically big for this plant, especially when it came out. It was like double the size of all the other leaves. So, and it's also like way taller. I don't know why. Like it's even taller than the more recent leaf. So anyway, with that said, thank you very much for taking a walk down memory lane with me to look at where these plants started and where they are now. I think it's important to show the long-term, I don't know, like life of a plant, because it's not always gonna be this like linear uphill, like it's going to constantly look better and better. I certainly have plants where that has been the case, but like with the Orbifolia, that was not the case. It looks pretty bad right now. It looks worse now than it did then, but you know, this is a good example of a plant that looks better now than it did then. I like to give all of my plants really good treatment, but sometimes things just fall to the wayside, and I think it's important to be realistic with yourself when you're buying plants, when you're owning your plants and caring for them. I don't know. And also I think that it's really important to try your best to keep plants for a long time, because when you do that, you're able to build a relationship with them, you're able to understand them better, and you're able to just see their life cycle. It really changes your perspective on plants when you're able to see it go from this tiny little thing to this big plant. I think that it gives you a really big boost of confidence when you sit back and look at what you and this plant have accomplished together. So anyway, I love these videos for that reason. It gives me a really great time to reflect. And if you want to see more of these, please let me know. I have a lot of unboxings and hauls on my channel, so I'm happy to share more of these if you'd like to see them. All right, you guys, thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye.